Hello, my friends, and welcome to this. It's another Johnny Vedmore read through with me. That's me, your host, Johnny Vedmore, here again to do a read through, which I've done before, but of course, the previous versions were geo blocked or are still geo blocked on YouTube. Yes, again, I will mention that if you are not me and you want to talk about this lady, that's fine. You could do that. Your videos won't be geo blocked, your videos won't be censored or banned. If you're me, your videos will be censored, banned, or geo-blocked. There's a good reason for that. The rest of the people are explaining very basic information, and I'm giving you a lot. So if you want a lot, if you want abundance of information about this subject, the subject matter being the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein and one Nicole Junkermann, also known as Countess Brachetti-Peretti. Well, there's only one person to come to, my friends, for that sort of information. It's me, Johnny Vedmore. I've been a bane in this lady's life for the past 7 years. She's used all type of strategic litigation against public participation against me. She has used court injunctions. She has used many underhand measures like hiring microtaskers to delist me and my websites from Google. She has had me pulled down from YouTube, Rumble, Substack. Some of my accounts on certain platforms have just been completely deleted because I've reported on Nicole Junkermann. Now everybody's allowed to talk about it, but that's how it's been for me for a very, very long time. 7 years, 7 years, 7 years of being a proper journalist. And now the mainstream is just catching up on the very base level of that story. I've worked out that in actual fact, if you go through a lot of my journalism from the past, I'm probably somewhere between 10 to 20 years ahead of the mainstream outlets, because they, even when they start talking about these stories, they only talk about the very base level and they don't talk about the stuff I'm talking about. And they won't do for a long time because they won't be sanctioned by the state to do it, because what we're talking about, my friends, is state intelligence assets working against the people to benefit a globalist technocracy that's being created around us as a digital panopticon to keep us completely and utterly trapped, chained, and under control. Because he who controls the future, past controls the future. He who controls words. That's all well. If I remember from a Truth Bomb episode. Remember, guys, I don't only do articles, I also do music. I also do Truth Bomb, a quiz show. You can join us when Truth Bomb's going. I'll be in the chat, of course. Truth Bomb is a brilliant way to get across information. Two members of the independent media community go against each other and against AI's official narrative. It's very clever, and I would love it if you got involved. Very important project to me. Like, share, subscribe, support, do everything you can to get this information out. Like I say, 10 years, 20 years behind the mainstream media. You can break that. You can break that. You can break the mainstream media that way. You can say, hey, look what they're reporting. Now look at this. Look at that piece of rabbit turd they're feeding you there. Now look at this, a veritable feast. It is a feast of information. And we're looking at the second article in the Yunkerman series. I wrote this article in August 2019. I had spent a long time watching Nicole Junkermann and carefully ready to act, but it was only when I realized she entered into the NHS Health Tech Advisory Board that I did act. And the reason I had originally noticed her is because she had ridden on Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Express and she was on the flight manifest. But she was an unusual addition in the fact that the profile of Jeffrey Epstein is that he'd use a plane to send people to be brought to him. He'd use a plane with his entourage, maybe Sarah Callan or Ghislaine Maxwell and some of the girls, and he'd fly around, or he'd be there with his entourage and another person. It was very rare that it was just him and another person alone on the plane. Very rare. So Nicole Junkermann seemed very special in that way. So who was she and where did she go? Well, the first article was investigating her involvement in the Health Tech Advisory Board, her involvement in Carbine 9/11, which was, of course, an Israeli intelligence front company that was originally headed up by Ehud Barak, Epstein's very close friend, and Pinchas Bucharest, head of the Unit 8200 in Israeli intelligence security, and was invested in by Ehud Barak, Jeffrey Epstein, Nicole Junkermann, and Peter Thiel. Made it a very interesting, and the actual operation itself is very interesting. But that was the first article, a little bit about her history, trying to understand things. The second article, I really wanted to understand that one significant question: what was she doing in Britain between August the 31st, when the Lolita Express landed in Birmingham, and September the 2nd, when the Lolita Express left Birmingham? She's there for 3 days with Jeffrey Epstein. What's she doing in Britain? Why are they there? I live in Britain. I'm British, so I find it very interesting. And it took me a while. First of all, I mean, when they land in Birmingham, that's a strange one. Why go to Birmingham? Why not go to London airports? Why not somewhere else? They must have been visiting something that's quite close to Birmingham. I spent a lot of time looking around Birmingham for events, looking around the outskirts of Birmingham for events. This event, it turns out it wasn't going to be really shown. I talked about it a lot. I tweeted out the first article, gained a little bit of traction. People were interested in it, but only limited traction. As soon as Nicole Junkermann's legal team got involved, the articles were quickly shadow banned and hidden. So in August, I get in contact with someone. I won't say by what means or how I found them, but I get in contact with someone who tells me that they were there on the night in question, and they explained to me the full details of what happened, and I was then able to go and verify those details to be correct, the majority of them, and it was clear that I had found something that was unexpected to find. And the person who told me did not want, was really aware that they were involved in something that was really dangerous, but claimed that they had to get it off their chest. I am being very careful about how I talk about this person, because it give it way too many clues and your sources can be revealed. And some people, it's dangerous to talk about this stuff even now. The police were maybe involved as well, the UK police. When someone like Epstein flies in, you can be sure that he might be meeting someone of interest, and that someone of interest might need protection. So it was also a possibility that he was hanging around with Andrew or something. Their relationship was working by then. Was a working relationship, because of course Jeffrey Epstein was an arms dealer, and Prince Andrew was working as the head of arms sales for the UK government. So there we were. I had found out where they'd gone, and it was time to investigate. And from it came this article I'm about to read you today. I've done a Redux version so that you can so that it's a little bit grammatically correct, but nothing's been changed. No details have actually been changed. What I've just done is add in here and there, just add in a comma or full stop, or rephrase a sentence to be more accurate here and there. When I was writing this, 2019, I had only been working as a journalist, and at first it was, of course, I was considered myself as a blogger or whatnot. But for about 3 years, I'd been writing articles, and I was not trained. I got two C's and an E in English, so I was not really the best when it came down to writing. So I'm glad that that's changed in many ways now. But nowadays, also, you do have tools for sorting out grammar and stuff. I mean, it's much easier to be a writer now than it was once upon a time. And I don't have to worry about I used to have to draft things over and over again. I don't have to do that so much now. And also you get professional as you go on, you'll start to understand. So this article was good, but it was slightly the way it is slightly going to be disjointed because I'm describing two different things. I'm describing they're connected. I'm describing why Epstein and Yunkerman were at this place, what the place was, and then what happened afterwards. And that's pretty important. I think there's elements of this that people need to understand. This meeting that happened could very well have been connected with one of two things or both things. The fact that the Amber Alert bill was being put into action in a couple of days in the Senate by Hillary Clinton, woman with links to Epstein, which was about stopping child trafficking and child kidnapping and child exploitation. And then a month later, the Senate were going to be voting on the whether to go to Iraq war. These two things are very important. Here we go. Let's do this. I'm going to share add this to the stage, as they say. Add it to the stage. Here we go. Yunkerman, Epstein and Yunkerman Redux. This is the article is you can find it on Substack if you want to watch it on Substack, or you want to read it on Substack. I like Substack for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is that it's easy to support me. You can take up a subscription really easily. It's much more user friendly than Patreon is. I like Patreon and stuff, but I also feel awkward because I don't feel like I can connect with people properly. Yeah, I can have conversations with people, but I got so much work to do all of the time that a lot of people support me knowing that I got to get on with stuff. And I know I love, I do try and be as interactive as possible, but I know at the end of the day, I got to get on with stuff. And that. I mean, the people who are supporting me are supporting me because I'm writing articles like this about subjects that no one else wants to talk about. And it takes a long time when I'm working on my own. And the way I do things, I was given a method of looking at information and organizing my information on a couple of times I have, but recently I've been given a method of doing it. I don't put all my research in one place. My research is in 3 or 4 different places, including places that are in the real world and digital world. I try not to mix everything or just have everything in one place. I try to make sure that I separate some things out so that there's always surprises for those who can only view the digital realm. I'm talking about that in the intelligence sense. If people are watching me or the like, I know I am writing about intelligence and I have intelligence agents try and infiltrate my life. So even though that sometimes it sounds a little bit like I'm conspiratorial or paranoid, I'm not. I'm just realistic, and it's just the way these things are happening. Just doing up a button on my shirt there, sorry. Right, so let's do it. Epstein and Yunkerman Redux, September the 1st, 2002. The Secret Senators and Wexner's War on Iraq. And even though he says October 20th, 2025, that's the Redux version, of course. So the actual version was August in 2019. After investigating the glamorous Nicole Junkermann, I remained focused on the one question that had gone unanswered from my initial article. What were Jeffrey Epstein and Nicole Junkermann doing in the United Kingdom from landing on the August 31st, 2002 until leaving on September 2nd? There you go. That's the cover for it. Epstein, Junkermann, and Wexner. Party guys. You can actually listen to the original read through here. I might replace that with this read through at the end. There were numerous clues to the whereabouts of Epstein and Junkerman. Despite the limited amount of information available, they had flown in on Epstein's private jet from Paris Le Bourget Airport, and they had chosen to land at Birmingham Airport. So the first question was, why Birmingham? Britain is dotted with viable airports where a billionaire can land his swanky jet. In 2002, Birmingham was not renowned for being a hangout of the glamorous and often seedy billionaires of the world. I sifted through thousands of old archived websites trying to locate any blip on the radar. Maybe I'd uncover some little story in a local newspaper reporting a misplaced boast from a talkative cohort, but the hunt was fruitless. I eventually discovered that I would never find any information related to the night in question in the press. This was a very secret meeting. Editorial. Since writing this article, I have found more information to be published soon. It's true, I have. I will actually show you a tiny snippet of that. You can actually watch the initial read through there. The second part of this is this read through is actually geo-blocked in most of Europe. I'm not sure if it's geo-blocked in America, but geo-blocked in most of Europe on YouTube, so you can actually see it. It just doesn't turn up. If you go to the Yunkerman playlist on my YouTube, it'll say there's like 7-8 videos in there, maybe more now, and it'll only show you 3. So. What can you do? Corrupt. I had successfully narrowed down a search area which proved correct, but without something truly miraculous happening, I felt doomed never to find the answer. I put a tweet out saying that I was still looking for Epstein and Junkerman's location on September the 1st, 2002, but in reality, I was losing hope. I had done my best to get the question out into the public arena. If the answer was to be found, then the universe would have to provide it. And on this occasion, the telephone was the universe's preferred method of communication. From this point on, I must protect my sources, so I'm going to start by giving you a basic roundup of the events of that weekend. Then we can go into each of the details I was told and any evidence corroborating the story. So the slightly polished dramatization. Jeffrey Epstein and Nicole Junkermann landed at Birmingham Airport, located southeast of the United Kingdom's biggest city, on the afternoon of Saturday, the August 31st, 2002. They were met by a prearranged helicopter pilot, most likely a representative of Bristow Group. They were then flown 25 miles south to a secluded country house in the stunningly beautiful Warwickshire countryside. If they were to fly another 20 miles southeast, then they'd have seen Blenheim Palace, the principal residence of the Dukes of Marlborough, and en route they'd fly over Chipping Norton. The surrounding areas are home to some of the most famous British-based elites. Ex-Prime Minister David Cameron would go riding with Murdoch executive Rebecca Brooks in the fields below. Elizabeth Murdoch, the second-born daughter Rupert Murdoch, has a grand residence nearby, along with Ben Kingsley, Patrick Stewart, Jeremy Clarkson, and of course, Princess Anne, who is just around the corner. They would have even been able to see the church where Theresa May's father used to give his sermons as Vicar of Enstone. It says Vicar of Enstone, but it's Enstone and Haythrop. Here on the borderlands of Oxfordshire, Gloucestershire, and Warwickshire, they were amongst the establishment elite. Now, this is Foxcote House, where they were heading. At this point, I'm probably going to try and share another screen with you. So let me see if I can present another screen right here, because I have a few windows open that can show you some of the information about this. So here you go. Oh, there you go. This is the actual Google Earth. You can see where we're going there. You see right in the center there, we got in Britain, Foxcote House. And you see down just to the southeast, you see Chipping Norton. It's one of the most famous and richest places around. It's pretty heavy down there. So there's Foxco House, Stratford upon Avon. Of course, Stratford upon Avon is a fantastically historic place. A lot of this was, of course, surrounded to an extent by history, Shakespearean history too, of course. We're heading towards Ilmington. Ilmington is a place where Foxcote House is officially located, also Compton Scorpion just below. And this is Foxcote House. It's very small, out in the middle of nowhere. Back then, it was quite hard to get to. The video might be pausing a little bit. It has a little bit of problems, does these video software with this sort of stuff. Here you go. So this is the main house, Foxcote House itself. Gardener's Cottage there as well. And then there's that actually might be the main. I think one of the main parts of Foxcote House is actually a smaller part of Foxcote House, and there's some buildings there over here. It's officially a hunting retreat, so all of this area around here is filled with what? Grouse and pheasant and all that sort of nonsense, and these guys will go around looking to shoot them. So it's a good place for rich people to go. And obviously, Foxcote House must be fairly beautiful property, but it is also very rural. It's very hard to get there. Now, there's evidence. I can tell you. Oh, wait 1 second. Let me just get back on. I can tell you. I'm going to share another screen with you now. And I can tell you that there was a little bit of controversy at the time. When I first looked into this, here we go, let me make this into full screen. When I first looked into this, this article wasn't up on the on British newspaper archives. What's funny is above is oh yay, 22 town criers in full cry. This actually include my dad was here, so because my dad was a town crier, so he's actually on the same page, or his guys are anyway. This is a report from, and people who watch Newshound will know I love a bit of this, Stratford upon Avon Herald in 8th of April 1999. And if you're not interested in town criers, you can go in a spin over helipad plan. Look at these guys are angry. This guy is angry. These guys are angry. These dogs are vicious. And this is basically all of Ilmington. This is the entirety of Ilmington, and they put up a sign saying "Say no to the airport," and there's a few things written on there. And the main crux of this is Mr. Carlson is also annoyed that Mr. Wexner, who only stays in Foxcote House for a few weeks every year, has planned to put a helipad on the edge of his estate, far away from his own home, showing scant regard for the other residents. It is only 600 meters away from my ground. It's unfair on a personal level, she says. Let him not put it on the edge of his property. Let him put it near his own home. So we know from that the people of Ilmington were angry, and they were angry because American tycoon Leslie Wexner has applied for permission to build a helipad on the car park on the edge of his land next to Redland Barns, bloody, blah. So knowing that, we can also then go back to the other screen, of course, and we can work out a little bit more about where we are in Foxcote House. Because here we go, we're back there. In the actual Foxcote House property, the helipad had to be close to the other people's property. That looks really like a more car park area, doesn't it? But I get a feeling that it sounds like it was supposed to be on the edges of someone else's property. So I'm not sure where that will be. But anyway, they did exactly that. They did put a helicopter up, and Bristow's helicopters runs from Birmingham Airport to anywhere where you so do choose to get them in. So obviously, there's a link. Let's go back to the main article. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going backwards and forwards a lot, but I wanted to show you that. I want to show you that the people were complaining at the time that the actual house itself, what it looked like. So there was evidence. They landed at a relatively recently installed helipad near the highest point in Warwickshire County. They were in Ilmington, which was once the seat of the Canning family until the death of Robert Canning in 1848, situated on the northeastern cusp of the scenic Cotswolds. The Grade 2 listed buildings where they were staying is Foxcote House, which was purchased by Leslie and Abigail Wexner in 1997. More critical people already took the 2 best rooms in the 11-bedroom house, so they have had to settle for the less grandiose quarters. Sunday, the 1st of September 2002, was the perfect weather for such an occasion, and the small group spent the day hunting. Later on that night, Jeffrey Epstein walked into the main house to greet the waiting senators with a girl on each arm. On his right arm was a dazzlingly beautiful brunette, and on his left arm was the stunning Nicole Junkermann. The majority of the security men were moonlighting British police, and the 2 guests who were the center of attention were both sitting United States senators. This tiny gathering was all fun and games. America was on the brink of war. Wasn't all fun and games, sorry. America was on the brink of war. In just over a week, it was going to be the first anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. And exactly 1 month later, Joint Resolution 114 was voted on by those same senators. The vote to go to war with Iraq was based on a dodgy dossier of exaggerated and manipulated claims, a dodgy dossier created by the British, of course. Who originally invited the senators to the English hunting retreat is unclear, but this was the last chance for them to have such a private meeting, as the following Tuesday, the senators returned to the Senate after their summer recess. On Sunday evening, the senators spent some time panicking about the lack of internet access and their inability to access their emails. They were meant to be in constant communication with their people in Washington. There was no wireless internet at Foxcote House at this point in history, just a classic dial-up modem. They were only able to access their email account via a solitary computer in the house. The computer was located in an office near the kitchens, but the internet connection wasn't working. They had to call out an IT specialist late on Sunday night to get their internet up and running. And after the problem was solved and the emails were retrieved, the night continued on as planned. The following day, on Monday, September the 2nd, 2002, Epstein and Yunkerman were flown back to Birmingham Airport by helicopter, where they soon returned to Paris. Nicole and Jeffrey went their separate ways. The next day, Epstein flew from Paris with Jean-Luc Brunel, Sarah Callan, and Cindy Lopez. Cindy Lopez, of course, was, I think, a very young teenager at that time. Jean-Luc Brunel, the famous child trafficker who got hung in the prison, and Sarah Callan, who's now Sarah Vickers, married to a NASCAR driver, hidden away, of course, protected, actually claimed as one of the victims. Information breakdown. The account above is what I can extrapolate from the information which I received. It was now a matter of verifying the information given and starting the hunt for the unnamed US senators. Here's the reported details. The helicopter firm used was Bristow's. The meeting was held at Foxcote House, Warwickshire. 2 United States senators were present. Leslie Wexner and Abigail Wexner may not have been present. All the talk was about the invasion of Iraq. It was a supposed hunting trip. Epstein walked into the main house on Sunday with a woman on each arm. The brunette was not identified, but the blonde was identified as Nicole Junkermann. The internet issue was a significant concern. An outside IT specialist was brought in late Sunday night. The majority of the security were moonlighting British cops. Firstly, the helicopter firm Bristow's does fly out of Birmingham Airport. Also, Foxcote House is owned by the Wexner family, with Wexner's wife Abigail being named on official UK company house records as a director of the hunting business, as the Telegraph reported in 2015. Mr. Wexner has largely succeeded in keeping his ownership of Foxcote out of the public eye, despite the fact that he bought the estate 18 years ago for about £3 million. However, I was unable to find any public records advertising the presence of US senators in the locality around those dates. This visit could well have been considered a private one for all involved. 2 days later, on September the 3rd, 2002, the United States Senate continued its 107th Congress. Really want to mention the first day was the Amber Alert bill being introduced by Hillary Clinton. It was about child trafficking, child kidnap. It's really important. The senators and security. I went from trying to find out where two people were located on the 1st of September 2002 to attempting to identify the whereabouts of the 100 sitting senators on that same day. The Wexners could not be identified as present, so the senators seem to have been meeting with Epstein directly. That seriously narrows down the candidates. It still took I still looked at each senator individually. Joe Biden was at a rally on August 31st. On September the 3rd, 2002, the Baltimore Sun reported Joseph Biden Sr., 86, the father of Delaware Senator Joseph R. Biden Jr., died early yesterday at his son's home in suburban Wilmington, Delaware. He had been failing health in recent weeks. It seemed Biden was the first to be scratched off the list. Gene Carnahan, had been shooting that weekend as her website advertised. Senator Carnahan participated in the annual fish fry and clay pigeon shoot in Missouri on August 30th, 2002. Banker John Corzine of New Jersey was later linked with Wexner through his support for Hillel. Corzine's then ally and fellow New Jersey Democrat, Robert G. Torricelli, was under the microscope for corruption allegations. I went through the 100 senators, but in the end, there were too many slippery fish in this pond for me to go it alone. I was able to locate Hillary Clinton's whereabouts and then Pete Domenici, but I always knew who my number one suspect was, so I was planning to save him for last. When I first found out the location of Epstein and Yunkerman, I assumed that at least one of the Wexners would have been present. That left all possibilities regarding the senators' identities open, as Abigail supported the wide selection of Democrats and Leslie nearly always backed various Republicans. But Epstein was never interested in supporting little candidates. He saw himself as a kingmaker of sorts. His notable support of Bill Clinton had seen his influence grow, and I believe that he craved more of the same. There were only two sitting senators in this period with whom we know Epstein was in personal contact. Ted Kennedy and John Kerry were both listed in Epstein's Little Black Book. And at this time in American political history, everyone was talking about Senator John Kerry challenging George Bush in 2004 presidential elections. Kerry was also still openly receiving financial support from Jeffrey Epstein, with several donations being recorded between 1991 and 2002. John Kerry is also famous for his love of hunting, a hobby the Massachusetts politician heavily advertised over the next few years before he challenged the incumbent president George W. Bush. However, there are other likely suspects, including New York's Chuck Schumer and New Mexico's Jeff Bingaman, who both received public funding from Epstein. I found the information on the security detail to be very interesting. All British security personnel was specifically reported as being either UK police or former UK officers. In Epstein's famous Little Black Book, there is an entry for Scotland Yard. Were these officers supplied by the Met, or were they officially working for a private firm? The policemen who were present should face questions about such an event. The other security was described as like the Secret Service. And if there were two US senators present, then they may well have bought a very small security detail. If this is so, there should be some form of official record of the visit somewhere in Washington, D.C. The Wexner War on Iraq. While Epstein and Yunkerman were entertaining United States senators at Les Wexner's British hunting ground, Washington, D.C. was abuzz with activity. The start of the new political season was beginning, and there was much to do. On September the 3rd, 2002, the freshly vacated senators voted on the confirmation of Terrence F. McVeary of Pennsylvania to be United States District Judge. The Amber Alert Bill was introduced and passed. It was also the beginning of preparations towards the Iraq War, before the Senate had even voted on it. Max Baucus, who was then chairman of the Committee on Finance, put out a press release on the 3rd of September entitled Baucus Schedules a Markup of a Substitute for HR 5063 Armed Forces Tax Fairness Act of 2002. This was the first bill to prepare for the Iraq War. It gave tax incentives to US troops so as to make war pay. Only one sitting Republican Party member voted against the war. He was joined by one independent and only 21 Democrats. Les Wexner was a major force in pushing the war for war with Iraq. A document leaked in 2003 entitled Luntz-Wexner Analysis, Israeli Communication Priorities 2003, commissioned and produced by Les Wexner's Foundation or Wexner Foundation, should be studied in universities globally as a perfect example of elite state propaganda. On its opening page, it states, the fact that Israel has remained relatively silent for the 3 months preceding the war and for the 3 weeks of the war was absolutely the correct strategy. And according to all polling done, it worked. The paper is quick guide to linking Israel's ongoing cooperation with the US military as a positive aspect of the Iraq war. But the paper soon descends into a propaganda aid in the defeat of any arguments defending the embattled Palestinian people. It is a must-read document for all those who enjoy anything Orwellian. In 2003, one reporter was seriously ahead of the game. On August the 1st, 2003, Bob Vetrakis published an article on his freepress.org website entitled The Wexner War. In it, he says, when the Wexner analysis report was leaked, it caused a stir, but no question of Wexner's little explored relationship with Epstein and Fisher. Frank Lutz, he doesn't write Luntz, he gets his name wrong. Frank Lutz, the Republican Party pollster and spin doctor, prepared the Wexner analysis. Luntz's report essentially outlines a political PR campaign as the post-war dust settles over the Iraqi desert. Petrakis finishes his enthralling article by stating lobbying groups like the Mega Group and the government insiders like Wolfowitz and Richard Pearl are engaged in systematic campaign to identify Israeli national security interests with US military and security interests. The Wexner analysis merely documents this extensive, often covert campaign that deserves public debate and democratic discourse, not secret PR campaigns. Maybe Epstein was lobbying the senators for his pal and probable fellow agent, Leslie Wexner. Foxy conclusion. Can I say that I've identified the location of Jeffrey Epstein and Nicole Junkermann on September the 1st, 2002? Probably. I have no reason to believe that my source intended to deceive me. I found the person to be someone who wanted to get the story off their chest. Most of the claims could be verified. That is all the information that I have been able to gather so far, and it seems to suggest a hidden world of influencing, warmongering, and or an out of control but focused Israeli propaganda machine. My Yunkerman article has taught me several valuable lessons. Thousands of people want to reveal the truth. They're being attacked relentlessly for trying. The article had some collateral damage. I apologize to the folks of vote.com if I'm responsible for your site being cyber attacked and shut down. I salute the fallen soldiers. It got made, they took the ability to, it was an archive only site. Afterwards, it no longer could anybody interact because of the Yunkerman post. The most important thing that I've learned is my specific place in investigative journalism. I am here to uncover the topsoil of an intriguing story and then to leave it up to others to finish the digging. So for now, I shall leave you all in the world which existed on the September the 1st, 2002. I haven't finished yet. I just need some new soil to turn. In this information request, I made this in 2022 on 12th. And this is a response. Dear Mr. Vedmore, Freedom of Information Request, reference number 01FOI22024702. I write in connection with your request for information which was received by the Metropolitan Police Service on the 12th of the 5th, 2022. I note you seek access to the following information. On the 1st of September 2002, Metropolitan Police supplied police to guard two sitting senators, U.S. senators at Foxcote House in Ilmington, North Warwickshire. What is the identity of these two senators? The Metropolitan Police Service can neither confirm or deny whether it holds information that you requested as a duty in Section 11A of the Freedom of Information Act 2000. The Act does not apply by virtue of the following exemptions. Section 24.2, National Security. Section 27.4, International Relations. Section 31.3, Law Enforcement. Section 38.2, Health and Safety. Section 45, Personal Information. Please see legal annex for further information on the exemptions applied in respect to your request. To confirm or deny whether United States America senators were afforded protection could undermine the safeguarding of national security. This could allow those with criminal intent to gain operational advantage over MPS and place those who are afforded protection officers, and members of the public at risk, such as Section 24, blah, 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 blah. In addition, confirmation or denial of MPS officers undertaking a protection detail regarding USA senators could hinder international relations, therefore engage. So they're willing to hide information if it hurts their international relations. So information about Epstein was that, and that is disgusting. The police are saying they were willing to cover up this meeting because it'll hurt their international relations. So that means Americans can get away with anything. American intelligence can get away with anything on British soil. And Section 45 is engaged as to confirm or deny that information exists would be revealing personal information about a specific individual, thereby breaching the Data Protection Act. If you noticed, I did not say who were the guards. I said what were the identities of the two sitting senators. So they're protecting the identity of two sitting senators under personal information, but it was them acting in war footing and meeting with a clear conspiratorial crime ring that is Epstein's ring. And that was my Freedom of Information request. And I say at the end, must say a massive thanks to Richie Allen Show, Jason Bamas, and Openman Report. They all recognize the importance of the Yunkerman connection. Without their exposure and all the wonderful people who helped to share the article and participate in the investigation, I'd have been very much alone right now. It is up to all of us to support the independent media. It is here that you will get the information the mainstream media prefers you not to know. And Ed, a minor footnote on donations to Les and Abigail Wexner, of Les and Abigail Wexner. Records from federal election commissions show that Leslie and Abigail Wexner had made many donations before and after September the 1st, 2002 to Democratic and Republican political organizations, but their donations to individuals were rarer. Between September the 27th, 2000 and June 21st, 2004, they made personal contributions to 5 of the 100 senators who were in office in September 2002. Those were Max Baucus, Mike Devine, Trent Lott, Arlen Specter, and George Voinovich. The 2 closest payments to the date in question were to Montana Democrat Max Baucus and Ohio Republican George Voinovich from Abigail Wexner and Les Wexner, respectively. But even more fascinating is the $5,000 donation given on the Saturday night of the event. Abigail Wexner donated the funds to the Ohio Democratic Party, which would affect Max Baucus, sorry, not Max Baucus, George Voinovich, who's Ohio Republican, and Mike Devine, who's also Ohio. A lot of information there, a lot of little bits of detail that might not seem relevant now, things like that, but will be relevant once you get a couple of extra pieces to any puzzle. You can buy me a coffee, or you can choose to read some of the other articles. Here, for instance, is the Eric R. Weinstein's Great Replacement, about his work on a UN program between 2000 and 2002 to bring in economic immigration, a massive amount of economic immigration to Western countries, like we've seen happen. SpaceX offenders, of course. You got that's the second article in the Musk Epstein series, and things like non-governmental octopus. That's a good article. Me and Khan Disley go through the road that's led us to almost world war in Ukraine. It's very interesting. That's for sure. And that is the article, Epstein Junkermann, September the 1st, 2002. Now, again, I'll say this was a month after I'd released the original article. I released the original article in July. The next month, I was reporting on the second part of it. And at that moment, Nicole Junkermann's people, for the first time, went full force at me after that. It must have been about probably October, November, December that they started acting. And the first sign I had of that was in January 2020, when a note came through from a Berlin court saying that Nicole Junkermann had taken out an interim injunction against me. I didn't really know what that meant at the time, but I do now know that it was meant to be an injunction that stops reporting until there's a defamation case, and the defamation case should go soon after. And then there was no defamation case. In actual fact, her people have told Substack recently that they had done this 5 times, interim injunctions, to have my work taken down from YouTube or geo-blocked from YouTube, taken down from Rumble, taken down from other Rumble. That's I mean, Peter Thiel's in business with them. They take down, including the read through of this, the read through of the first, second, and third. Rumble deleted them. Didn't even tell me. I only noticed with someone was I was checking links one time in the article, making sure all the links were there, and that one went to a dead page, and I realized Rumble had just deleted the Yunkerman articles, hadn't even informed me, and I ended up in a battle then with them fighting. I discovered that in March. It wasn't until December that Chris Pavlovsky, the CEO of Rumble, finally put them back up. It was disgusting that they'd taken down. Criminal conspiracy. A lot of this is criminal conspiracy. The Met, what they doing? Covering for their mates. What they doing? Murdering, abusing children, trafficking children. Yeah, high level interference within national security is protected by national security. High level interference by security intelligence agents is protected by national security and under national security. That's insane. The police, what are the police? The UK Metropolitan Police, what have they done? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I applied for that. I applied for a Freedom of Information request from Metropolitan Police, from North Warwickshire Police, and from MI5. And what do I learn from it? I learned that they'll cover up or deny. That's it. They'll just cover up or deny. And this was an article, one of the articles that led to, once I started getting attacked in January, once you started the legal stuff, and once I had microtaskers contacting me and telling me they were employed to delist me from Google, and once I started to see that I was under serious attack, then I wrote the third part of this article, and I'll do another read through of that. Like I say, these read throughs are now going to be redone on the Redux versions, so I can put them back up, and we'll see what happens. But I'm still not allowed to report on a lot of this. I'm still not allowed to report on a lot of this. YouTube has conspired with Nicole Junkermann. They've refused to listen to me. I've contacted them 100 times. They've refused to listen. Other people are allowed to report on Nicole Junkermann on YouTube. For me, it's geo-blocked and banned. I'm not allowed to report on it. Has been for 7 years. Disgusting. Substack colluded with them. Rumble colluded with them. They're colluding. They're colluding with a criminal conspiracy that's still related to Jeffrey Epstein to this day. It's insane. The fact that they keep doing stuff like this and they keep getting away with it means they'll keep doing it. It's one rule for them, one rule for us. I told you. You'll hear that from me a lot because that's something that I worked out for my life. They've got their game, man. They know what their game is. Don't include us. We don't have even a seat at the table. We're serving. We're outside the room. We don't even get to hear it. And at the same time, they're meeting in hunting retreats and they're planning wars that will kill 1 million people. And who are the people who are planning those wars? Elite child traffickers. It's intelligence. You pay for this. Your tax money pays for this. And at one point, I gotta be honest, at one point I may be throttled, I may be shot, I may be pushed off a bridge, or I may be run over by a car, because I report on this. It's the way it goes. I know what I'm doing. When I entered into the first article, first Yunkerman article, I was up all night. I knew if I do this now, there's definitely no going back. There's likelihood that I'm just going to be ended. I still feel, people in my community, people in Cardiff must think I'm a really happy guy. I'm walking around. I got my dog. I'm smoking a bit. I'm singing out loud, speaker playing, singing Jeff Buckley into the sky, Wolfpack, enjoying trying to take in as much, trying to enjoy communicating with people, talking with people, having fun with people. And the reason why, a lot of people, they must think I'm a happy person, but I tell you what, I'm living life to the fullest for a reason. I knew what I was entering myself in for. I'm entering myself in for a veritable death sentence. That's the way it works. Going against these people, they get their way all of the time unless we decide to change it. They're protected by the police. The police will not give you the information because they say it'll hurt our relationship with these child trafficking warmongers over there. And we need to keep our relationship with those people because we also traffic children and we're also warmongers. These are the people in charge of our society. They're going to garrote me in an alley. What am I going to do about it? So I know which road I'm going down. I've already gone down it. Wrote the third one. I was like, let's get on. I thought I've same with the potting of pieces. I've gone through, I keep reporting. I know all of it is like, they must look at it and they must think this guy must have a death wish. And I got a death wish. I've had a death wish for a long time. At one point, this road leads to a place. Leads to a place where there's only a few options to how to deal with me and how to deal with what I do. You know, gotta be honest though, I wouldn't have any other life. Love it. I love I love hunting down the stuff that they don't want me to hunt down, and I love showing the stuff that they don't want me to show. Love it. So, c'est la vie. If you want to support me, there are plenty of ways you can buy me a coffee. Which I did. Listen, some people have bought me coffees recently, and it's been like it's just like every time someone does that, someone helps me out in some way. It hits me in the heart, man. It makes me because I it is an actual feeling like I'm appreciated by someone. And I need to make I got some I should have a show starting up soon, so but I've always been on the edge, and I wanna expand what I do as journalism as well. I wanna now that the sun is shining a bit, it's time to make some hay, and by that, I mean some progress. Get out there with much as I can, say as much as I can, and disturb the status quo as much as I can. So I need your help for that, and I really appreciate it. You can also support me by just liking and sharing, or by turning up for a truth bomb here and there. I mean, people with my size channels usually have like a fair, a lot of people turning up to their YouTube. I don't get advertised by YouTube by the algorithms. It's only people who watch me regularly who get to see that I'm gone live and stuff. Like, shares, subscribes, but also go listen to music on Spotify or Apple iTunes. Type in Johnny Vedmore. Go listen to Jeffrey Epstein, the podcast, the musical. All of these things are ways that you lift me up in some way. In some way, whatever way. I don't mind. I appreciate the support, and I love you guys. I'm totally interactive. If you want to come and speak to me, speak to me. There is only a couple of I have to admit, there are a couple of people in my inboxes where it's like I spoke to them, and then they don't stop saying stuff that's wildly mad. Like, I know it's hard to talk to everybody. Like, some of it might be true. I don't even know. Can't help everybody all the time, but I am truly interactive. I love talking to everybody, and I give everybody a go. So come on down, find me wherever I am, Johnny Vedmore or Newspaste, and newspaste.com. Thanks for being with me for this read through, and see you later. Bye.
I don't feel different now that I'm older. I don't feel different now. I got my old school coming back, yeah. I don't feel angry, I'm just bored, oh yeah. I don't feel different now. I got my old school coming. Tell me what you need, what you want from life, and I won't, oh God alive, I won't judge. Tell me what'll quench your thirst tonight, and I'll make my bar to 10, yeah. Tell me what you need, what you want from life, and I won't, oh God alive, I won't judge. Tell me what'll quench your thirst tonight, and I'll make my bar to 10. I don't feel different now, I'm just bolder. I don't feel different now, I got my old school coming back, yeah. I don't feel what you need, what you want from life, and I won't, oh, gotta lie, I won't judge. Tell me what'll quench your thirst tonight, and I'll make my bar to 10, yeah. Tell me what you need, what you want from life, and I won't, oh, gotta lie, I won't judge. Tell me what'll quench your thirst tonight, and I'll make my bar to 10, yeah. To you. Yes to 10.